And even though things are, are normal at that railway station where Shiv, has been answering those questions from, the situation is anything but normal. Over the last couple of hours, you've seen Akshita speak to a series of Ukrainians, members of parliament, Akshita. All of them who've been speaking to you, they've been talking about their safe houses, they've been talking about the safety of their families, they've been talking about the personal crisis for every person in Ukraine at this point of time. So I'm going to keep Akshita on with me because she's the one who's been speaking to all of those Ukrainians and getting those voices out. First for you here on India Today. From us here in the national capital of India, we're taking you straight now to Donbass region, where India Today's Gaurav Sawant, once again, I keep repeating this because it's true, we're the only Indian channel reporting from the zone where Russia has basically declared war. Gaurav, what is the current situation right now? When we spoke to you earlier today, we could hear shelling. When Akshita was speaking to you earlier today, there was shelling, there were a lot of military vehicle movements as well. What's the current situation?
Right now, all we hear is emergency vehicles moving from one area to the other, and there is total, in a way, a lockdown. We are I have been told to stay in this location where we are currently and not move just as yet. There is apprehension, there is fear. The person who takes us around to various places, he says that because there's emergency in place, they are staying put at their location. Emergency vehicles you can hear. Just a short while back, there was another explosion that was heard, and Ukraine, the government is saying that they are saying that missiles are being used, or bombs and explosives are being used in this case. The talk about intercontinental ballistic missiles was in the context of an exercise that Russia recently carried out in Belarus in terms of a show of strength. And Shiv, this is actually a show of strength that's happening in a big way. It's declaration of conflict, military operations underway. Now, will those military operations remain restricted just to using these bombs and missiles that are coming Ukraine's way, or troops who are poised to enter Ukraine, especially here where we are in the Donbass region, will they enter in terms of boots on ground, tanks and armored personnel carriers on ground on the streets of Mariupol remains the big question, and also the kind of resistance, if at all, that they face here. The impression, Shiv, is that it is the softening of targets that's happening even as we speak. Localities after localities are being vacated in the border region, in the border areas, in towns, of course, people staying put, at least for now. And then the next course of action perhaps will be undertaken. Shiv.
Yes, the biggest request that's going out from Ukraine, and Akshita has been speaking to all of those MPs, and the common request coming out from there, Gaurav, and I'm sure you're hearing it from the ground as well, is that we don't necessarily need boots on the ground. Each one of them is talking about weaponry. Each one of them is talking about an air defense umbrella. It appears that the fear, even more than artillery and tanks and guns, is the application of air power, Gaurav, the possibility of air strikes to take out, certain Ukrainian establishments.
Shiv, you've hit the nail on its head. And look at the asymmetry in terms of air power between Ukraine and Russia. Russia supremely powerful, a superpower in terms of air power, in terms of airborne forces, which again is another apprehension here in Ukraine, that Russia, after softening the targets, after pulverizing the targets that it wants to take out, taking out the VAVPs, the vital assets and the vital points here in Ukraine, could use its airborne forces to come behind, in a matter of way, behind enemy lines, and then take control of strategic areas. And then the Ukrainian army, and majority of that Ukrainian army, we are told, is anyway fighting in this region, in the Donbass region. So beyond that, the next step becomes extremely critical. And that is why Ukraine's lawmakers, as emergency stands now imposed in this entire area, martial law has now been imposed in this area, which again puts a lot of restrictions on not just civilian movement, but movement of foreigners in a border area where we are, Donbass, right now. So major restrictions on movements at this point of time. And in such a scenario, what would Ukraine want? Ukraine would want superior air power and air defense umbrella, not just from ground, but from air. But is this already too late, given that the Russian President Vladimir Putin has already put his plan in place, Shiv.